If you didn't guess, I'm a farmer, so that's where the little story comes from. I'd like to tell you a story today about how local farmers support wildlife conservation as well as conservation of soil resources in Delta, British Columbia. And here we have a beautiful map of my hometown Delta, and as you can see, it's just this mosaic of different land uses. We have urban and industrial, we have Burns Bog to the north. It's just a great area. What's special about this place too is that it is home to a great diversity of internationally significant wildlife species. We have everything here, from wading birds to raptors to songbirds to migratory waterfowl. It's just a beautiful place to come and visit, and certainly we do have a lot of visitors. And one of the reasons why it's such a great place for wildlife is it's located on the Pacific Flyway. So it's an estuary, and we have over 1.4 million migratory birds that reside in Delta over the winter months every single year, making it a hot spot for international conservation. Now, I'm a farmer, and I think this area is pretty good for agricultural production as well. And one of the reasons is we have some of the best soils in all of Canada. You'll see me get really excited about dirt later, but great soils, and we have the longest frost-free period in Canada, which means that we have long growing seasons and can produce a great diversity of products. And here's me getting excited again. We've got everything. We've got potatoes, peas, beans, corn. We have farmers here that produce grain. It's not just on the prairies. And I grew up on a dairy farm, so I know all about milk production. We also have local apiaries that produce honey. Now, you might be wondering, you know, this area is so important for agriculture and clearly is so important for international wildlife conservation. What happens when you bring the two together? Do the birds just stay and feed in the marsh habitat, or do they also feed on farmland? And I'm a hay farmer, so you can see this photo here. It's a beautiful hay field in July. In October, 70,000 migratory snow geese arrive from Russia. And they don't stay on the marsh. They come into my hay field, and that photo that you see on the bottom right is what happens in the spring. I have no hay left to feed my cows. Now, in the early 90s, farmers were getting angry. They were saying, you know, every year we reseed our fields with grasses, and every year the birds come and take them. Let's shoot all the birds. What can we do? Let's get rid of them. And all the biologists in the area were saying, no, 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 no. You have Russia's only population of snow geese. You must let them eat on your farm, even if it's causing damage, even if it's causing loss. So in 1993, the Delta Farmland and Wildlife Trust was born as a partnership between farmers and conservationists. And really, it's partners in stewardship. We seek to preserve agricultural land and wildlife resources on the Delta through sustainable farming and land stewardship. How do we do it? Well, we offer farmers stewardship programs, and our stewardship programs are built around conserving soil, so helping farmers maintain their soil in the long term, conserving wildlife habitat, and hopefully keeping those hay farmers, such as myself, in business, and maintaining the viability of our agricultural community to support our needs in the future. One of our stewardship programs is called the Winter Cover Crop Program, and a winter cover crop really just means vegetative cover on a field. And typically, winter cover crops are planted in a non-growing season, so farmers can't grow much over the winter time unless they have a greenhouse, so that's when our cover crops are planted. The process is simple. The farmer harvests their crops, and in this picture you can see a farmer has taken off a bean crop. The farmer then goes and seeds. Usually grain is our type of cover crop. It springs up in the fall, and by October or November you have this thick vegetative cover spreading over the field. I love cover crops. They act like an umbrella. They protect my soil from heavy winter rains, protecting it from soil erosion, and that photo on the right is dirt. It does wonders for my soil. It builds soil fertility back. It helps my subsequent crops to grow. Cover crops really help farmers protect their soil in the long term. Now, this is a cover crop field that demonstrates that cover crops aren't just for farmers. Wildlife also feed on them, and this is an oat field that was planted in September, and this is actually opening day of hunting season in Delta, and as you can see, snow geese are just flocking to this field, and it provides high quality habitat for them on their migration. Now, this might seem like a bit of a different program. Maybe some of you haven't heard of it, but we have over 3,000 acres of cover crops planted throughout Delta on an annual basis. So that's helping a substantial amount of farmers with their soil resources and at the same time providing habitat for species. And you know, if the birds aren't feeding on the hay fields, that means that those hay fields can be harvested, and that's Bella. She says thank you for protecting some of our hay producers in the area and providing alternate feeding areas for waterfowl in the Delta. Well, what can we learn about the cover crop program and really the Delta Farmland and Wildlife Trust since we've been around for 20 years? Some people think agriculture and the environment are separate. Not true. They can certainly coexist, and we can achieve soil conservation and wildlife conservation simultaneously for the benefit of both farming and also for wildlife that are so important to us. And this is a bit of a philosophy that I like to share. If we can just ensure agricultural viability, and we're fighting for it right now, we also ensure availability of wildlife habitat. If we can communicate that farmland is important, not just for food production, but also because it functions as habitat for so many different species, I think we can make a case for farmland staying and eating local. This is just a quick slide. This is a sign that one of my farmer friends put on his field, and it might be a little bit difficult for you to see, but he wants the public to know that he is producing food for his family, but he's also feeding migratory waterfowl, and he's pleased to do so with this program. Just quickly like to acknowledge our sponsors, because without them, we would not have this opportunity to establish such an amazing amount of habitat in Delta and Richmond and sustain all of our farming community friends as well. Thank you very much.